We do not do online petitions. We do not do NGO coalition letters. We do not do fucking bus stop ads. We chase fossil fuel CEOs and the politicians who do their bidding, and we do not apologize, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
That is not my tweet, sir.
That is your tweet. I'm looking at it. Here's a copy right here. It's right off your,
Welcome back to American Mindset, the channel where we defend freedom, honor our values, and call out the nonsense that threatens the principles this great nation was built on.
Senator John Kennedy, one of the few who isn't afraid to speak truth to power, just absolutely dismantled a couple of so-called experts in a Senate hearing. Don't worry, I'm going to break it all down for you and give you the real, no-spin, patriotic take you won't find in the mainstream media. Let's watch the video.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Cohen, let me start with you. I think I'm going to ask you a few questions. I think these are yes or no or I don't know questions. Last 3 years, unfortunately, the United States economy has experienced substantial inflation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
That inflation is man-made, is it not?
Any inflation is man-made, sir.
And that man's name is Joe Biden, is it not?
Cannot answer that, sir.
Okay. Since President Biden took office, average electricity prices in the United States are up 29.4%. Are they not?
I'll have to check the data and get back to you on that, sir.
And isn't it true that electricity prices have increased under President Biden, have increased 13 times faster than the previous 7 years?
I'll have to check the data, sir.
Okay. And the National Energy Assistant Directors Association. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I've checked them out. They're a reputable group. They say that the average United States electricity bill will go up 10% this year and 10% next year. Is that correct?
Again, I'm not familiar with the data, but I can point out, sir, that in Europe,
I'm not interested
in Europe, prices are 2.5% to 3% higher.
I'm interested in our people right now who are having to,
who
are having to sell blood in order to pay their electricity bill.
Goodness.
A substantial portion of this inflation in electricity, up 30% since President Biden took office, is directly related to his energy policies. Is it not?
Energy prices fluctuate based on supply and demand of all sources of energy, yes.
I think it has nothing. Is that a yes or no?
It's a very complicated economic question.
I understand. Give me an answer. Did President Biden's policies contribute to the inflation or didn't they?
Both Republican and Democratic administrations infuse the economy with trillions of dollars, which contributes to the inflation.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't believe any Republicans voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Well, I do. $1.2 trillion, Green New Deal. No Republicans voted for it. You want to amend your answer?
I'll amend my answer that under President Trump and under President Biden, trillions of dollars were infused into the economy
under Trump,
and contributed to inflation.
Over 4 years, and under Biden, they went up 30% over 3 years. Which is better?
Say again, under Trump, please.
Under Trump, electricity prices went up 5%. Under Biden, they went up 30% over 3 years. Which is better?
Well, clearly, lower rise in electricity prices better.
All right.
However,
Dr. Supran, let me ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
You're here at the request of my Democratic colleagues?
No, sir.
No, Dr. Supran.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Dr. Supran, on December 14, 2023, you tweeted in support of climate defiance. That's an entity that the Brookings Institute has called a radical climate change group. Is that correct?
I don't recall, I'm afraid.
Okay. Would this be the same climate defiance that I'm looking at your tweet, you tweeted in support of them. Would this be the same climate defiance that called Senator Joe Biden, quote, a sick fuck?
I don't know, but as I
Would this
mentioned
be the same climate defiance that called Senator Lisa Murkowski a murderer?
I do not know. As I said in my statement...
Would this be the same climate defiance who told the CEO of Exxon to, quote, eat shit, Darren, close quote?
I'm not responsible for the statements of other
Nice
people.
group you're
and I also
hanging
do not know
around
the
with,
answer.
Doc. Here's what your tweet says, quote, we do, in support of climate defiance, we do not do online petitions. We do not do NGO coalition letters. We do not do fucking bus stop ads. We chase fossil fuel CEOs and the politicians who do their bidding, and we do not apologize, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
That is not my tweet, sir.
That is your tweet. I'm looking
Nobody
at it.
visited.
Here's a copy right here. It's right off your website, Biggest Dallas. On
I'm almost
October
certain that that is not
31,
my tweet, sir.
2023, you said this on Twitter. Quote, climate justice was coined by our movements to locate it as a struggle against genocidal racial injustice, colonialism, and apartheid. If your climate justice doesn't stand with the Palestinians against colonialism and apartheid, then your climate justice has no justice in it, close quote. Did you say that?
I believe not.
Here it is, bigger than
may
Dallas.
I please see the document?
Yes, sir, and the witnesses' documents there.
May I please
And the
point out that
senators,
this form
the
of...
senator's time has expired, and there are other senators waiting.
I've got a bunch more tweets. Thank you for your objective advice,
I'm sure you
Doc.
do. You can put them into a question for the record, and
Yes,
they'll
I'd
have
like to
Supran
submit
reply.
all of the good doctors' objective tweets and scientific analysis for the record.
That
Thank
will
you.
be done without objection. Senator Merkley,
May I clarify one final point?
proceed.
These are not my tweets. These are retweets. It's an important
Oh, you
contradiction.
often retweet stuff you don't support? Is that what you're telling me, Doc?
I did not say that I don't support this. I simply did not tweet it, which, as you were
But you
alleging.
retweeted
I'd
them,
like
didn't
to
you?
make very clear that this
But
form
you
of character
retweeted them,
assassination
didn't
is
you?
characteristic of the propaganda techniques of fossil fuel
You
interest.
retweeted
Senator
it,
Merkley.
didn't you?
Thank you.
Are you going to call me a sick fuck?
It's Senator Merkley's time.
Mr. Chairman,
First up, Senator Kennedy took Dr. Cohen to task over inflation. Now, let me tell you something, patriots. Kennedy hit the nail on the head when he said this inflation is man-made. And you know what? He's absolutely right to call it out. Dr. Cohen, like so many so-called experts, danced around the issue, but let's be real here. Under Joe Biden's leadership, electricity prices have skyrocketed by 29.4%. That's nearly 30%. Do you feel that in your wallet? Because I sure do. And Kennedy wasn't afraid to call it out. But here's the kicker. When Kennedy asked if this inflation was linked to Biden's policies, Cohen tried to dodge, saying it's a complicated economic question. Complicated? Come on. Biden's energy policies, shutting down pipelines, greenlighting reckless spending, and pushing this radical Green New Deal agenda, have made everyday Americans suffer. This isn't rocket science, folks. It's common sense. When you strangle energy production, prices go up. Period. Now, when Kennedy said Americans are selling blood to pay electricity bills, some people might think he's exaggerating. But think about it for a second. How many families are struggling right now to put food on the table while Biden and his buddies push these costly climate policies? Where's the outrage? How is it fair that hardworking Americans are being crushed under the weight of inflation, while elites in D.C., who will never have to worry about paying their bills, sit there and pretend everything's fine? Kennedy is giving a voice to real Americans, and that's why they hate him. Next, Kennedy shifted gears to Dr. Supran, and wow, this part was wild. Kennedy exposed Dr. Supran's ties to a group called Climate Defiance, which has been labeled as a radical climate change organization. Kennedy read tweet after tweet where this group was calling politicians like Senator Lisa Murkowski murderers and using language so extreme, it's honestly shocking. But here's the best part. When Kennedy confronted Dr. Supran, the guy tried to weasel out of it by saying, "Oh, those were retweets, not my own tweets." Patriots, let me ask you this. Does that sound like an honest person to you? If you retweet something, it means you're endorsing it. You don't retweet something you disagree with. Dr. Supran didn't even deny supporting these radical ideas. He just wanted to play word games. And Kennedy rightly called him out for it. And here's where the true colors of these so-called experts come out. Kennedy read another tweet, or should I say, retweet, where Supran tied climate justice to support for Palestinians against what he called colonialism and apartheid. Now, don't get me wrong, We can all have different opinions on foreign policy, but what does any of this have to do with affordable energy for Americans? Why are these climate activists so focused on pushing divisive, anti-American rhetoric instead of finding solutions for the people they claim to care about? This is what the radical left doesn't want you to see. Their climate agenda isn't just about the environment. It's about pushing a far-left ideology that sees America as the bad guy. And of course, when the heat gets too hot, what do? They cry character assassination. Dr. Supran accused Kennedy of using propaganda techniques. Really? Reading your own tweets is propaganda now? Give me a break. This is classic left-wing deflection. They don't want to answer real questions or take responsibility for their actions, so they resort to playing the victim. But Kennedy wasn't having any of it, and neither should we. Patriots, this hearing wasn't just about inflation or climate change. It was about exposing the radical agenda that's hurting everyday Americans. Senator Kennedy is one of the few leaders brave enough to stand up to these elites and fight for the people who actually make this country great. The left wants you to believe that inflation, high energy prices, and this radical climate agenda are just complicated issues beyond your understanding. But don't fall for it. These policies are hurting working-class Americans, and it's time we hold these people accountable. So what can you do? Stay informed, share the truth, and most importantly, vote for leaders like Senator Kennedy, who put America first. Thanks for tuning in to Rising Daily. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep fighting the good fight together. God bless you, and God bless America.